Okay, it's time once again for the fall tour of the garden, or I guess you could say the annual tour, since I haven't made one of these videos since last fall about this time. It was made about a week earlier last year. Got quite a bit of more green this year. We've had a wetter year, quite wetter, so there's a lot more vegetation. A lot of the leaves were off the trees last year about this time, and they're just starting now. You can see here a lot of leaves on the ground, on the sidewalk, also on the driveway there. And as you can see, we've made kind of a woodland area in front on both sides of the driveway here, under the shade of locust and willow tree back there further. Lots of ferns. I think we planted 1 or 2 or 3 ferns here several years ago, and they kind of took off and cover almost everything now. And here's the other side. Again, pretty natural looking. And that's our goal, to try to make it woodlandish, if that's a word. Not too much maintenance, and just relaxing and calming. Again, quite a bit greener here than it was last year at this time. Now let's step further into the depth of the garden. And this area facing the road, this week last year there were almost no trees on no leaves on this chestnut tree above our head, and this year it's pretty full of leaves yet. So this is a nice natural area, gives us a kind of a privacy shelter from the street, and we just let it go. We just let the leaves fall here. Whatever grows, grows. Few ferns here again, but mostly leaf litter. And something growing on the ground there. Not sure what that is. It gets full of yellow flowers in the springtime. I remember that. And now you see a little look at the south side of the house. It gets a little sun in the morning, and by afternoon it's pretty shady here, because there's quite a bit of shade provided by these pines here now. And behind that hedge there again you can see neighbors. Pretty small plot really we have here. And nice to see some few flowers, fall flowers blooming, or these are kind of summer fall flowers. They tend to maintain their color for a long time. Roses are about done. This looks really nice in the spring and late summer, completely full of red blooms. Oh, and look what we have here, Caesar. Checking out the situation, make sure there aren't any bad guys running around here. And I don't think he sees any bad guys, so he's going to be probably sitting down and having a nap pretty soon. Now you come to our patio area. I don't know what these are either, but these bloom. These purple ones bloom for a long time, all summer. And the pollinators really like them. A little view from the patio here. Caesar shows up again. Like to come inside and maybe get a little lunch again. But he'll have to wait a little. There you can see our little pond area that we enjoy. And just like last year when we made this last video, there's Turdy soaking up some sun, or trying to soak up some sun. He's a little bit in the shade now. But he's out here all summer. In the winter we take him in the house, and he has a big aquarium that he hangs out in. We've had him for a number of years. He wasn't much bigger than my thumb when we got him, but if you get a turtle, be prepared to take care of it for a while. Like most pets. Our waterfall there. This pond is a bit not as full of vegetation as it normally is, because we just had to fix a leak in it. We had the masons over here redoing it, and they had to tromp down a lot of the vegetation, but that'll be back next summer. There's Caesar again, checking things out. Not sure what he's looking at there. And these, what are they? Black-eyed Susans, I think they're called. They're a nice, long blooming, real popular with the pollinators. Might see a few bees on them even now, although it's getting a little late in the year for that. There's Caesar keeping an eye out. And you can see there's a lot of stuff going over there. They get a lot of direct sun, so there's that vegetation always goes really good there. As you might notice, haven't mowed the lawn in a while. But when you don't mow the lawn, you get a lot of things like this popping up. This used to be, earlier in the year, a couple patches of white clover. Again, really popular with the pollinators, but they're beyond their prime now. Sunflowers, just like last year at this time, all volunteer, get dropped by the birds that are eating in the bird feeder, so they pop up in the strangest places. You can see that one's kind of right in the middle of the lawn. We just left it. And here's some other type of clover. Looks like, and probably a weed next to it. And the bees like this stuff. Plenty of heat on their backs while they're flying around and taking nectar, I suppose, out of these flowers here. Bees get more active when they're in the sun, they seem to. You see the milkweeds have kind of popped up in strange places too. They send out those rhizomes and they go from where they started way out into the middle of the yard sometimes. A lot of the times, like in this case, we just left them. These milkweeds are past their prime too. You can see the seed pods on some of them. But they've been, oh, it's been more than a month since they were blooming, but boy, they get really high. They got to be 7 feet or 2 meters high in that range. And they're really full of the pollinators when they're blooming. One of the most attractive plants for insects in the garden, I think. Okay, now we'll step into the shade here. Ouch, just poked a branch in my eye. And this is an area where we compost extra leaves and branches. To the left of that fence, behind it is the neighbors. We don't really throw anything in the garbage, any kind of a biomass or anything like that. We either compost it in the composters or throw it back where it's not seen and let it turn into dirt. Oh, and there's Caesar, keeping an eye on us. Well, you see this kind of makeshift fence here? We put this around an area of the garden because we had a duck nesting in there this spring, and we wanted to make sure Caesar left it alone. And the duck left. I think there was too much traffic in the garden for her to lay her or hatch her eggs here. So she never got that far, but we left the fence here just in case she decides to come back. And like usual, Caesar's right out in front. Make sure he doesn't miss anything. Checking things out in case that duck is still there. And there's Turdy. He looks a little happier now. Looks like the sun is just starting to strike the top of his shell. He likes that. Seems like it just can't get too hot for him. Once again, behind the fence, neighbors. So you can get a sense that even though we try to give the impression that this is a big natural area, it's pretty small. Now coming back out. Into the sunlight. And you can see our secret passage back there. Now we're on the north side of the house. Little garden house. Caesar. Some ferns we planted here. This gets real dry right by the house here because we got this big overhang. So I did a little trick. I got this barrel here, plastic barrel, and put a hose on the bottom, put it at the bottom of the drain spout, and drain it into a soaker hose that runs the length of this group of ferns here. And it keeps those all wet and I don't have to bother to water anything. So that makes it a little nicer and keeps them longer too. And here's our utility area. Where we throw a lot of branches and sticks and brush until we get around to chopping it up and composting it. Caesar. And there's that area in the front that we looked at right after we entered the garden at the beginning of the video. Caesar's house. This here is recycling, plastic, paper, glass and tin, drink cartons, and composters. As I mentioned previously, this has got the ground here has a natural covering of wood chips and leaf litter and broken up brush because we do a lot of work back here, so we never have to. It never gets muddy back here, which is nice. And it's always cool and quiet back here. Kind of a mess though, as you can see. Stepping back out into the sun. Normally we have a few cactuses blooming here, but not now. You can see some buds on that one. That one will probably have at least one or two flowers later today. They bloom for one day, then they close and another one will open up. And there are a few down here, but they're mostly done for the year. This one's got some buds. Maybe we'll get some few flowers out of that in another week or so. It's too hot outside for Caesar. He wants to go in and cool off. Lay on the cold ceramic tile floor for a while. And we're back. This is kind of the end of the tour. Curdy's waving at you with his back foot. And that's it. Thank you.